What's up, everybody? Raymond back again, and I'm coming to you from home, just kind of recording a quick video. We kind of want to discuss some of these things that's going on. There's a little confusion, maybe not confusion, as more discussion about the formula that I actually created probably a couple of years ago now that I haven't really been putting into effect a whole lot, but apparently some people are. So we want to discuss that and kind of simplify it and make people understand where we're trying to go with that, and then discuss some of the discrepancies that come along with it as well, and see if we can't come up with a solution for it. So we're going to talk about all that here in a minute. Stay tuned.
They say bowling is a dying sport.
A dying sport.
I disagree. I disagree.
I disagree.
I disagree.
I disagree.
BowlerX.com for the love of bowling.
So the discussion came up about a rating system on how to scale bowling balls, try to figure out, where bowling balls fit in an arsenal, how to create an arsenal, all that good stuff. And the discussion or the debate comes up with, certain bowling balls just don't fit right in there. So I want to be clear that this entire thing is meant to be real basic. It's not meant to be a detailed, absolute, this is exactly where these balls go. What it's meant for is trying to determine, for those who don't know much about ball dynamics, this gives you a scale that you can use across the globe to put bowling balls in these groups and say, okay, I want to build a 3-ball arsenal. I need a ball in this group, I need a ball in this group, and I need a ball in this group. Where the discrepancy comes in is some people think that certain ball, and there's a few balls that are like, I don't think that ball really fits here. It probably needs to be somewhere else. There are a few that are going to be like that because of cover dynamics. The problem is that there are cover stocks out there that are way, way stronger than other cover stocks. And when you put a big cover stock like that on a weaker core, that throws the numbers off a little bit, or vice versa. You put a strong core on a weak cover, it's going to throw it off just a little bit. You're going to think that you have a stronger ball when you actually have a weaker ball, and vice versa. So that can throw some wrenches in the system a little bit, and I understand that. But what we're seeing is people who already understand the dynamics of bowling balls are trying to throw all these wrenches into it, saying things like, well, the dart code from Storm shouldn't be higher, or is actually stronger than the UFO alert, and vice versa. So balls that are like really right next to each other, they're saying, oh, they should be flip-flops, so that's a problem. Well, it's not really a problem because it's still in that same group. Let me explain. So let me share this. This is a group in, I forget which group it was, but let me just share this for you real quick so you can see. On Facebook, there was a post, and Wiggins made a post. This was in which group is this? This is, I don't know what group it is. Storm Bowling. It's one about Storm Bowling balls. And so he put his own spreadsheet together, and I commend him for doing this. I think this is really cool. For a very good idea as far as being able to put all your ball. I hope he doesn't have all these bowling balls, but maybe he does. If so, cool, great. But again, this is just a simple thing that we need to look at. So as he says here, here's a list of the current Storm bowling ball, roto grip, and 900 global balls. Figured it would be helpful for organized, plan out their arsenal. Very simplified. Very simplified is the key. I like that he said that. He'll add urethane balls. So he's just saying RG minus the differential without decimals, then factor in cover. Solids would be -6, hybrid would be -3, and then pearl +6. Some balls fall where you wouldn't expect them, so don't take this to gospel. It's just supposed to be a simple way to analyze your arsenal. And he actually, it looks like he edited this post based on the discussion that we've been having throughout this entire forum. So he's absolutely right. It is a simple way to put bowling balls together. Now, here's where some of the issues come in. You look over here and somebody says, well, the UFO on row 12, is stronger than the dark code, so shouldn't that be higher? Well, that to me, that doesn't matter. They're real similar in numbers. So my point is, you wouldn't want both of those balls in your bag. If you're creating a 3-ball arsenal, why would you want to drill both those balls unless you drill one to be a short pin, one to be a long pin, and you make those extreme differences on the layout? Now that's different, but this again is meant to be simple. So here's where the wrenches are actually at. You look down here, you come into where the IQ Tour Nano is, the Nano Pearl. This one is a wrench. There's no possible way this ball should be this low on the list. This ball is much, much stronger than the numbers give it credit for because of that cover. It's got that nano cover. And then you got another one. The same one would probably be that High Road Max. Now, in my opinion, I wasn't a fan of any of the High Roads. High Road Max, one of the ones that I didn't think was very good at myself personally, so it doesn't matter to me. But this is another situation where, okay, you can't put the High Road Max right next to the High Road. That doesn't make any sense. Well, because one's a solid, one's a hybrid. We have that hybrid as -3. Maybe we probably should have the hybrid rate at 0. There should be no addition for a hybrid because it's a combination of the two. Maybe that would make a little bit of a difference. So that would then make it, we'd add 3 points to it. So 211. So then it would bring it down here. So then it would have a little separation, but still it would land in that same spot. Still a discrepancy there, still a wrench being thrown in it. I do agree with those. I think those two are ones that just don't fit this type of a format at all. But when you're looking at the overall, view of this, you can say, okay, this makes sense because look at the top. You got proton physics, Rubicon, phase 2, reality, axiom, Zen master, and all of those bowling balls are really super strong bowling balls. So you take those top 7, you probably want to pick one from those top 7. Now, you wouldn't want to drill a proton physics and a reality. Why would you want to do that? That wouldn't make any sense. They're basically the same ball, in my opinion. Now, the reality for me is actually stronger than the proton physics, but again, that can all be determined based on layout, where you're bowling. All these other different influences can take over as to which one's going to be stronger. Now, I could take a proton physics and it would go dead straight in a certain house on a certain pattern, take it to a different house on that exact same pattern, and all of a sudden it's hooking the lane. So that's where we kind of have to be careful with these types of things. We don't want to get too invested in the numbers with this. This is just a real simple way to look at how we can score bowling balls and try to figure out, groups of bowling balls. So if you want to try to group this up into like 5 or more groups, then you would take like the top 7, say drill a ball from there, then the next 7. So you have insight, idle, synergy, phase 3, dark code. What do all of those have in common? They're actually really similar bowling balls, very, very similar. RSTX1, again, that could possibly be an outlier because that one, it's a duller cover. It's a little bit stronger. For me, at least, it was a little bit stronger than what it portrays. Some people say the opposite. Some people think it's weaker and it belongs lower. Again, it's all based on what you believe and what you've seen. But now when I'm going based on these numbers and what I've seen out of all the bowling balls that I've drilled, and I've drilled tons of these bowling balls for people, and it hasn't been wrong yet. We've been real close. So again, just a general, real simple way of trying to put things together. So then you would look at, all right, I'm going to drill proton physics. Then I'm going to come into the next group and I'm going to drill a dark code, and then go into the next group down, which would be, so then we get into like the honey badger intensity, parallax effect, axiom, pearl, Zen, RSTX2, honey badger. Like, see, again, all of these bowling balls that I've reviewed, I'm looking at these, I'm like, yeah, I can see a big similarity in all of these bowling balls. So again, you group them together. I don't want people to get too crazy and too invested into trying to get it down to the specific number, because you can't do that. You have to group them. You have to say, okay, I'm going to group. Maybe you separate these by solids and by hybrids and then by pearls, and you put them in 3 different categories, and then you group them again, based on that. The other discrepancy is we don't take in, intermediate differential into consideration here, which again, you could argue that then you're basically saying that there's no difference between symmetrical and asymmetrical balls when it comes to scoring them. And that obviously isn't true. Obviously, the asymmetric balls are generally stronger than the symmetrical balls. or at least quicker off the spot. So we got to be careful with these types of things. So this gives you a broad, real basic, simple understanding of where bowling balls can fit in groups. Then you can take and look at, okay, I'm going to look at the, what do we got here? I'm going to take a look at the reality versus the proton physics and look at the intermediate differential. I don't know those off the top of my head, but if you look at those and say they are quite a bit different, now we can add points to them based on adding differential maybe. That was what Luke actually recommended in a kind of slight about, way there. And I'm not really sure how we would make that work yet, but we could kind of consider doing that. But again, I think the consensus here is that there's just really no solid way of saying, okay, let's take all these bowling balls and just put a number on them and you're good to go. But I think this is a real good way of grouping them to get you to understand, where they kind of belong. Again, there's going to be some outliers, but when you compare, like this group to other companies and you start to do it, now you can start to say, okay, well, I don't need this ball versus this ball. They overlap. They're real close. I wouldn't want to do that. You want to keep it simple. So don't go trying to make things too crazy. Just kind of keep it as simple as you possibly can. So that way you don't have a bunch of overlapping and you don't, get yourself confused. There's going to be times when you're going to drill bowling balls, you're going to drill a dart code, and then you're going to drill a UFO, and you may see a huge difference between them. You just may. So it's going to be different for everybody. But again, this is meant to just give you the basic guidance of what we've got here. So you take the RG as a whole number, you subtract the differential as a whole number, and then you add or subtract points based on what the cover stock is. And because of cover stocks being different, one solid isn't the same as another solid. A hybrid isn't the same as all hybrids. A pearl isn't the same as all pearl. So they're going to be different. You're going to see different variances in there. But as far as total score goes, you can kind of see some similarities in there. So don't take it to heart. Don't take it as this is the gospel or this is exactly how it should be. This isn't absolute. This is just a short, simple way to score bowling balls to see if you have overlapping bowling balls. I guess I challenge you, maybe go out and practice a little bit. If you have balls that are in that same group, see if they're similar, see if they show the same characteristics, and maybe if they don't, maybe this chart's not for you. Maybe this type of scoring isn't for you or doesn't work for you. But the idea behind this from the beginning was for people to be able to look at bowling balls, put a number on it and say, okay, I have this number. I have a big gap here, so I need to fill a gap there. And I can walk into a pro shop and look at the numbers and I can do all the math myself to be able to say, okay, this is what I'm thinking, have a conversation with the PSO, with the pro shop operator and say, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm looking for. What do you think? And then you guys can, at least now you're not just relying on a pro shop guy who may be on staff with somebody trying to sell you a bowling ball that you don't necessarily need. Then you're going in with a little bit of knowledge saying, okay, this is what I think. I have a ball that's this strength. I have a ball that strength. Maybe I don't need another ball in this area. What do you think about this ball? Now you guys can actually have a conversation rather than just relying on the pro shop. So this is, again, real basic for the people who just don't have much of an understanding of the dynamics of bowling balls, covers, and cores. And it's not really for the 5% of bowlers who already study and who already know bowling balls and ball reaction and all that stuff. So don't take it to heart. That's all I got. I just wanted to kind of run through that real quick to show you guys that. I thought that was really cool. So thank you, Whit, for putting that together. Appreciate that. But I'm going to get out of here. We'll see you guys later.